Americans are leaving America, and it is not for vacation. It's for survival. A growing wave of Americans are packing up, terrified by Trump's dictatorship, Republican fascism, and Democrats' capitulation.
Black Americans are leaving the United States. It's a trend called Blacksit.
I refuse to raise a child in this state.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from now. Most of the black folks are now preferring to leave the US than going to the same country. Now, you must remember that the cost of living in the US has been on the rise for a very long time. And the fact that the US government continue imposing tariffs on other countries, that still makes the cost of doing business in the US high. And that does not sit well with so many of the people in that country. Let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Interracial couples, LGBT plus individuals, people of color, and intelligent people in general are seeing their rights replaced with restrictions. In Ireland, US passport applications hit their highest level in a decade, up 60% in just 2 months. France is seeing long-term stay visas for Americans up 20%. Portugal, Spain, UK, relocation companies can barely keep up with demand. Traffic to Blacksit Global, which helps Black Americans relocate, surged 50% after the election. Some are leaving quietly, like a trans couple in Colorado, because Trump wrongly says there are only 2 genders. States are moving to ban gender care, so they're planning their exit. Google searches for how to leave the US spiked after the election, and real estate deals for Americans in Spain surged before the Golden Visa program was shut down. European culture is different than American culture, and many won't adjust. And of course, Europe has its issues: immigrations, taxes. Putin expected to take Moldova and then Romania with his eyes on the rest of Europe for the new Russian Empire. But a possibility of another European war is a safer bet than staying in a country that is already a fascist dictatorship.
Yeah, why today, while scrolling on TikTok, I saw a bunch of very happy Black people living abroad all around the world. I mean, they were happy, or they appeared to be happy. They were excited to be where they were, and they were giving their advice and experience on how people can move abroad. Some of the places I saw was Thailand, I saw China, I saw South Africa, and Bali. I'm trying to think. And I'm also looking into New Zealand. You know, New Zealand is a place that I can get an international license to practice as a registered nurse there if I really wanted to. So, I don't know why I was looking at my lip gloss is fading. So yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, and I also saw somebody mention Costa Rica, Portugal, and I think there was, and also places like Georgia, but you know, that's close to the Russia border. I don't know if I would want to go there. Albania. You know, I've been looking also into, but I don't think I would want to live there, Croatia, places like that. So it is so much shit happening now here. It's just like, oh my God, every time I turn on the news, something is happening. You're hearing about unalivements and, you know, political views and, you know, people being placed in trees, if you know what I mean. So it's just too much. It's just too much. And the expat that I saw today, I'm just saying, butterflies and birds flying over. Distracted. The expats that I saw today, they were happy. One lady said, I went to Thailand and got my healing. And, it's like I would love to be in somebody's paradise, but, those are things that I think about is a sustainability. I'm not rich, but I would want my whole family to be with me wherever I go, So I have to make sure that we have provisions. We all have provisions for that. And just prepare. So I guess if we really had to escape, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I'm not fearful, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. What are they planning? What are they planning? Being in Southern California, we're not that far away from the Mexico border. If we really needed to, I guess, get over there. And it's so funny. I thought about, they call the people that smuggle people in Mexico here to the United States coyotes. I'm like, well, shit, are we gonna have to find some coyotes to smuggle us in Mexico? What if they, saying no, we're not gonna take you in? The Canadian border is more up north, so it'd be more further. So, I mean, if we had to go, it's like, okay, we got to get the hell up out of here. That would be too far. So, anyway, it's just something that I saw. And in saying that, I was like, okay, Holy Spirit, what you trying to say? Are you trying to tell me that it's go time? Or what is it, So, like I said, it's just so much stuff. And I'm really trying to be at peace and be positive and happy and move within my purpose. But I feel like there is a climate that's happening, and people like me, we're not wanted here anymore. Or people, I'm just feeling that. I'm sensing a lot of things. I'm, hearing people in power, kind of like have a disdain for us, and unfortunately, this is how God created us. Good, bad, or indifferent, we're here. And we deserve to be happy, just like everybody else, to live, to be at peace, and to have the pursuit of happiness in this country, and if we can't find it here, then somewhere else. All right, I hope you guys are being safe.
The fact that a young man was lynched in the U.S. just yesterday should be the reason why every black person wants to leave the U.S. for good. Like, I'm not talking about, oh, we're just going to vacation. No, like, pack up your shit, sell all your shit, gather some money, get some money straight so you could be good for 2 years before you get your business up and running, and move your asses on to Africa. I know it's not that easy, but this is why a lot of people are leaving. America will never change. It's the same story. We sing in the same song every year about racism, about killings, wrongful police brutality. Why aren't y'all seeing this? And why don't y'all want to leave? Y'all want to continue being hunged and nobody doing anything about it?
Hey, my TikTok babies. Real quick, I want to talk about, I just got finished watching Black Chef in Mexico's live. And she is very informative. And I love the fact that she's very enthusiastic about her move, her journey from Philly to Mexico, because what I get is it's done tons for her mental state, not just her financial state. That helps, but it's done tons for her mental state. So she's very excited about that. And I'm excited about that because that's what I'm looking for too. But in the comment section, it got kind of racy, to say the least. I mean, there were a lot of Mexicans or locals commenting because they were upset that she is there, or upset that a lot of us foreigners are coming to their coming there out of fear of gentrification and colonization. And I get it. Very understandable fear. Very valid. I'm not sweeping it under the rug whatsoever. But I just want to kind of say something on my behalf. I'm speaking on my behalf and on a lot of people that I know the reason why they've made such a move. So we are in fear also. I definitely am in fear also. And our fears are similar. Not in a gentrification aspect, but you guys are in fear that us coming over, is going to raise prices and you guys are going to not be able to afford to live there anymore or to sustain life anymore there. That's what we are in fear here. Okay. We are in fear that we can no longer sustain life in America. Yes, we cannot sustain life in America with the almighty dollar, right? It's a problem. Yes, the American dollar is superior to a peso. So you guys are like, well, you guys make American money, so you shouldn't be struggling. Not the case whatsoever, because a lot of us are. Okay, so we're fleeing. We are fleeing America out of fear that we will not be able to sustain life here anymore. So a lot of us are going to Mexico, Africa, Ghana, Jamaica, somewhere where I'm not going to say where it's necessarily cheap, because I hate that word, but you have a better chance of sustaining life there. Okay. And no, I'm not saying go over there and build, quick trips and all this shit like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. If you are genuine about sustaining life and that's why you're going to create a better life for yourself and your family, to get a financial health together, your mental health together, supporting the locals, supporting the mom and pop businesses, live there as if you actually care about the country because you don't want it to end up like America, which is the reason why we left, then you're on to something. I can understand your move. Stay tuned for part 2, you guys. Let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about the money. This is the thing everyone wants to know. There's a lot to it. I'll try to go through it quickly. Your requirements are very specific and dependent on a lot of variables. So what someone else paid won't be what you pay. Let's try to walk through some of the high level areas so you can better understand. The most expensive months that you're going to encounter are the months that you leave and the month that you arrive. If those months overlap, just plan for 2 months. You won't see a lot of money leave in those 2 months. Just be prepared. Things will level off after that. Let's start with your airfare. Depends on your departure and your destination. Also factor in how many people are going. How long before you can purchase the tickets? Are you 3 months out, 6 months out, 2 weeks out? All of that makes a difference. I recommend trying to fly on a Monday through a Wednesday so you can get the cheapest tickets of the week. You need to do some research on where you plan to go and then estimate your cost based on that. You should be estimating hundreds to a couple thousand. Again, if you're going to Barbados, it's a lot different than going to Thailand. Immigration attorney. It depends on your destination country, your visa type, and the attorney that you use. I can't give you costs on that. You need to plan for it to be in the thousands. Speak with your specific immigration attorney for your desired country, and they will walk through the process based on what your needs are. You need to have money that you can show in a bank account or show that you can earn it with a history of earning that money. It varies based on country. Speak with an immigration attorney to find out what the requirements are for the visa that you're seeking. If you have a pension, that helps out a lot. So if you have a pension, you may want to choose a country where you get the most for that pension. I spoke about document preparation. Plan for anything from $300 to $1,000 if you're doing it yourself. If you're having someone else do it, it could be a lot more than that. Shipping and luggage. If you want to downsize so that everything fits in your luggage, you may only have to pay $100 or a couple hundred for another bag, depending on your airline. If you want to ship things up to and including your car, you could be up in the $8,000 to $12,000 range. You have to decide what's worth taking with you. It may be cheaper to sell it on your side and purchase it again on the other side than to pay for shipping. School. If you have children, you have to consider what the school requirements are. Do you want to put them in a local school, an international school, or home school? All of them have different advantages and disadvantages. What type of degree do you want them to get? What do you want them to do with that degree when they finish? School is a big cost if you have children, and then you have to multiply that by the number of children that you have. Housing costs. This one could be anything. You need to find an agent in your destination country and work through that agent to figure out what the housing costs are. Plan for your first month's rent and a deposit, which could be equal to that first month's rent. Or it could be more than that. It really depends on where you're going and how you want to live. So speak with an agent. Income. This is a big one. Everyone's asking about income, how you making money. For a lot of people, you don't need to make as much money as you did in the United States. There's only a handful of countries in the world where you need to do that. It's best that you bring your job or you create your job, but you need to have a plan for how you're going to make money. You need to be able to demonstrate that that plan works. I don't advise planning to go to another country and just find a job, because you could be taking a job from the citizens of that country. And that's a different issue that I've addressed in other videos. Bring your job or create your job, but don't limit yourself to the vocation that you've had. What skills do you have? What are you good at? What knowledge do you have? The thing that you always wanted to do that you can do. You may be able to use those things to make the money that you need to sustain yourself. Be creative, be prepared to be flexible, be open to the idea that you may not have to do what you were doing or make what you were making, and you can still be okay. Also factor in the cost of exiting your home country. This is important. You need to get out clean. I know people say, I'm gonna leave those bills in the place where I left. They could just find me. You're gonna have to get your passport renewed, and you don't know what type of barriers could be in place to prevent you from doing that. And you wanna avoid not being able to renew your passport at all costs. So get out clean. Get out so you don't have to worry about that on the back end after you've spent all of this money and moved your whole life somewhere else. Also, you have to figure out what you're doing with your mobile devices. There's a lot of options depending on where you're going. You have to figure out what's best for you. Now, these are some of the areas you need to consider, but it should give you a general idea of how to structure your plan. I have a link to a checklist in my bio that can help you with this. There's much more that I haven't covered here. If you want more information, more detailed information, there's also a link there for you to book a consultation. We can walk through that for your specific plan. Some people asking people to say all their business on the internet. That's not safe, y'all. Look, and you shouldn't do that either when your time comes. We're open to being honest. We're open to helping you out. But no one's gonna put all their personal business on the internet, and neither should you. If you need to go over the details of your plan, if you need help crafting it or thinking through it or want to hear any of the other areas, the link is there for you to use. The checklist is there for you to use. There are other content creators who will provide a wealth of information. The information is there, but you got to get it. Sorry this was so long. This one's
Things that I've noticed is how freaking clean it is. And it literally is like living in New York, but like the clean version of New York with more trees. It's just so pretty. Like, it's just city living, but you still have all the trees everywhere. And I'm like obsessed with trees. The complex grounds are phenomenal. Like, America could absolutely never. Like, I took a video yesterday of like the little play area that is downstairs in our building, but there are like sitting areas underneath every single like tall building. There are chairs to sit around everywhere here. The view outside my window is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I don't know if you can see that. Like, it's just so pretty. And then just like being here, it's just so peaceful and calm. As far as my mental health, it's so weird because when I was in the States, I took anxiety medicine and antidepressant medicine. And with all of the crazy travel and stuff, I like lost my medicine case and I just wasn't taking it. And I don't think I'm going to have to take it anymore. For right now, it seems like I might be able to pretty much wean myself off of all of the medicine, but it looks like I might not have to go back to taking any medicine. So leave some questions down in the chat, and then I'll make a note.
So I've been talking about how my husband and I are looking to live abroad. As a Black woman and a new mom, I do not feel safe here in America, and I don't want to raise my children here. So here are a few countries I've been looking into: Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, Ecuador, and Portugal. There's also a large Black expat community in Ghana happening as well. If you are also Black here in America and looking to leave, check out these places. Check out some of the Black Facebook groups that are specifically aimed to help each other leave the United States.
Probably for like a year and a half now that I have no desire to stay in America. Getting what you can get out of this country until you are able to dip type of situation. For those that stay in another country, what are your suggestions? What do you recommend? Me and my husband really consider, like, first would be Sydney, Australia. Second would be South Africa. Third would either be like a Caribbean island or like Central America, and probably UK. One of those. Because within the next 5 years, 4 years or so, we are really considering that at this point.
Hey guys, happy weekend to you guys.
Hey, happy Saturday. It's the weekend.
It's the weekend. Everything's,
and we in Panama.
And we are in Panama. Everything's feeling like the weekend right now.
Every day is Saturday and Sunday.
Every day is Saturday and Sunday. We just thought we would jump on real quick to try to do a little bit of updating for you guys. What we going to talk about?
We're gonna talk about moving and leaving everything behind.
So, as you guys know, if you've been following us, we left the USA sight unseen, and it's going to be how long? Maybe
2 weeks on Monday.
2 weeks on Monday. So we are, kind of dug in a little bit now. We, some of the new newness is gone.
Well, yeah, and we got our temporary residency too.
Oh, that's the big thing, guys. We got our temporary residency, and we're so happy. So we have about 3 months to wait until we can get our permanent residency cards, and then we'll be official.
Official Panamanians.
Yes, indeed. So we're super excited about that. We've been able to make that progress. Just wanted to jump on real quick and just talk about leaving and how we left everything behind. We sold house, cars,
lawn equipment, lawnmower,
anything
everything
that you can think of. 30 plus years of being together that you're going to accumulate. We sold it all. And 3 kids, and left our children there. Everything.
Our kids are grown though. We didn't leave.
Well, if you listen to our kids, they use the word abandoned. That's a whole nother conversation we'll have another date about just how we're navigating being away from them. So yesterday we went to the grocery store for the first time, right? Mm-hmm. Yesterday we went to the grocery store because we've been eating out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the last week and a half or so, and we're like, okay, it's enough. It's time to dig in, and
we went to the Super 99.
And what we realized, guys, is that we left everything at home. So like everything from
salt and pepper, seasonings,
any seasoning,
syrup, jelly.
Anything that you can put on the things that you're normally used to having in your house, we don't have any of that. Any cleaning supplies, because in the Airbnb, they start you out with a little starter things, which is minimal.
It depends on which Airbnb.
That part too, so keep that in mind, yeah.
Because some don't supply anything.
Yeah, the last one we were in when we first got here, they supplied everything from detergent to toilet paper, everything. But this one, they gave us 1 or 2 rolls, and then they said you are on your own for the next 22 days. That's how long we're here for until we move into our permanent residence. So, so just wanted to jump on and say, we left everything behind. We left the U.S., but the rebuilding process has begun. So keep that in mind. If you plan to leave the U.S. and you're leaving all your stuff and you're not shipping anything, I still found it okay because we needed to downsize.
It was just stuff.
It was just stuff. I heard somebody else talking about this that was leaving to go move abroad. Just it's stuff.
Selling stuff.
Giving away stuff. And you just realize the value that it does not have. It just holds some memories that you had along the way, but it definitely doesn't have the value that you think you have. So now we're in the rebuilding phases. We're not going to accumulate too much while we're in this Airbnb, but we do have to live. So we did have to buy some things. What else did we get yesterday? So
we got
basic things like eggs,
some medicines.
Medicine. I didn't bring all just like stuff in pain medicines, things as you get older you need for your knees and
laxative.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, something crazy is happening at the moment in the US. A lot of the black folks are now moving from the US to other countries, and these countries include China, Canada, Australia, and so many other countries. Now, we are seeing this because of some of the reasons that could have been avoided by this government, Now, a lot of the black elites, the black people who have been working hard in these countries and those from other races are trying a new life in China and other countries. And you might be asking yourself, why is this so? Like, why will most of the people just wake up in the morning and try running away from the US, a country that they were born or a country that they have lived for a very long time? We have these pull factors that are making people to run away from the US. Now, the political situation in the US is becoming worse or deteriorating, in other words. Now, the Democrats and the Republicans are now having a trough. Like, politics is coming to an extreme, and both of the sides cannot come to a consensus or agree on something. And this puts the country at risk, politically, socially, economically. And you can see most of the people, when asked if they feel safe in the US, it's no longer the same. Most people are actually rooting to get out of the US than they want to come in the US. Now, even some of the countries where they are going to, they are not well welcomed after this government and the tariffs. Now, you remember that this government has been imposing tariffs on so many other partners or countries that have been working with the US for a very long time in the years. Now, this means that the price of commodities or the cost of doing business is going to be high. Most of the farmers used to export their soybeans to China. They can no longer do that at the moment. So this means if you are a soybean farmer, then you have to look for an alternative market. We have those who have been depending on this for years. We have those who have been depending on businesses that have been tariffed heavily by the same government. Now, when this continues happening, it means there are some people who are going to be directly or indirectly affected. For example, workers who have been dealing with soybeans and many other things cannot now afford it easily. They are making losses. And if they get a job opportunity, or if an opportunity presents itself from anywhere outside America where they are allowed to go, then they will take that as a priority. America has been sold as a dream for many for a very long time. You've been told about the American dream, that you go to America, make a lot of millions, go have a good life back in your country. Now, is that still the reality today? Do you really think America is still the greatest country that we grew up being told? When I was young, when I was young, around 206, 207, very young, I used to hear stories. When I went uh, later on in the years, in 2010, 2011, 2012, when I was in grade 4, I used also to hear stories about a great country where every African wanted to travel and make it. Now, this same great country is falling apart. As I'm talking right now, the US government has shut down, meaning some of the non essential federal services cannot be given to the people anymore. Some of the workers have been dismissed. Does this click to your mind that something is wrong in the US? If the presidency and the Congress cannot come together to agree on a budget that is going to run during the fiscal year, there is a problem. And when this happens, it is the people who suffer, just like the vice president of the US, J.D. Vance, says that it is not us, the politicians, who are going to suffer. It is you, the people, who are going to suffer. Remember, even when the government has shut down, the Congress still receives its salary, despite the fact that most of the people are going to be sent home. Most of the workers or most of the ministries will have to cut their spending to accommodate whatever is happening. So, do we really see a country that is becoming great, or a country that was great, or a country that is falling? You all know the answer. So, this is the beginning of the end. And most of the people are realizing that the US has a problem at the moment. And the problem is the people cannot agree with the government. And the government has long not been agreeing with the people. It has been doing whatever is good for the political elites and business elites. If this happens, or if this continues to happen, the people are going to suffer. Not they're only going to suffer, but the people are suffering at the moment. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people complaining about the cost of living. You can't now afford things that you could use to afford. Basic commodities are becoming luxury to most of the people, in that you have to go down, down, down so that you can have something. Tariffs are hitting people left, right, and center. Medicaid is not working perfectly, as per most of the people say. If this continues happening, it means more families are going to be in trouble. More employed people are going to quit their jobs. And when you have such an economy, that's a mess. This is why most of the people, most of the black folks who have been feeling like the US has been against them for years, are now running to China and so many other countries. They're running to China because, one, China ended racial segregation years. It is one of the countries with the least racism because they do not profile people based on where you come from, your culture, or your color. They categorize people according to their productivity. I wish that could have been the US, the UK, and so many other countries. I call them the colonizers because these are the countries that still think we are living in the 18th century and they can segregate people at will. And their governments will always support that. We are living in a century where we should remember it is your productivity that should rate you, how you work, and how you relate with the people, not where you come from or your color. When we do that, we are bringing a disaster to the society we live in. Can you see whatever is happening right now in most of the countries? Look at France, for instance. France has for long segregated people. You come to Africa, it has played a big role in whatever is happening in most of the Western countries in Africa. There is no peace in most of the countries in West Africa. What has happened? People were sold a dream that if you go to France, life will be better. They went to France. They met racial segregation, they met racism, and a system which supported both of these two. Now, time happens so fast. You can see at the moment, even their own people are turning against the same government that used to protect white privilege. Same thing is going to happen in the US, that the same government is going to be turned again by the people. The people are actually starting to see that we are not the problem, that the system has always been biased and it has told lies to us. Remember that most of the kids growing up in the US have been told about how being white plays to your advantage, and that you being white, it means you are supreme, and everything else should follow. Not you following things, but things should come your way. Children grew up knowing that. They taught that to their generations, generations after generations. During the Jim Crow laws, they tried as much as they can to segregate other races and people of color. They did that without regret. They have done that over and over again. I saw a very popular guy saying that blacks were at a better position in 1954 than they are today. In 1954, most blacks were enslaved, and most blacks faced racial segregation in most of the places. Not only schools, even at the ballot paper. Blacks were not even allowed to vote in most of these countries that enslaved them. How were they great at the time? How are they great in 1954 than they are today? They are saying that because they know in 2025, most of the black guys are very clever and brilliant at the same time. They can't just sit down and be oppressed. They have gone out to form organizations, movements, political parties, so that they can foster their unity they've always talked about. The unity Martin Luther King Jr. talked about. The unity Marcus Garvey was preaching about, the unity Malcolm X talked about. Now, let's not forget that your enemy cannot give you tactics on how to win or on how to bring them down. They will always mislead you so that you never catch up with time. Brothers and sisters, we live in the 21st century. You look at the things that are happening today and you wonder, why should they happen in this way? We know, as a matter of fact, that the US owes the black community or people of color. They have never reparated them, nor have they done that to any other race. If this continues to happen this way, the God of blacks and God of Africa will punish you severely. See at the things that are happening in the US at the moment. They ain't good at all. People are turning against each other. The white folks are not united as they were before. This should be a sign. And always anything happening always comes with signs. You must be very, very careful to read the signs and know when to exit the stage. The stage where racism, racial segregation, mass incarceration of the black community happened. This is the time you should know that time is really catching up with you. And maybe in one way or the other, you won't love it. And I pity a country which still thinks that it can build on the basis of racism and slavery. It is sad and sad and sad. Thank you so much for having watched this video. I really hope you got something that is going to change how you think, how you view things, and how much you know about your own country. We need to do proper discussions on why things like racial segregation still happens, despite the fact that we are in 21st century, and why most people will actually prefer leaving the US than coming to the US. Thank you.